A Clackamas County Sheriff's Sergeant has now been stripped of his police certification. He's accused of strangling his girlfriend to the point of unconsciousness during a sexual encounter years ago. Fox 12 investigative reporter Spencer Schott has been following the story for months and explains what led to the decision.
Nicholas Adler was initially fired from the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office in 2024 after a former girlfriend filed a police report accusing him of strangling her to the point that she lost bladder control and claimed he showed her child sexual abuse material. But his termination did not last long. Adler appealed his firing through arbitration, and in 2025, the arbitrator ordered CCSO to rehire him, saying the department did not have just cause, and pointed to how the district attorney denied to press any criminal charges against Adler when these accusations first came to light. The reason? Investigators did not find any child sexual abuse material on any of Adler's devices and said the victim in this case made inconsistent statements. But this year, the Oregon Department of Public Safety Standards and Training took up the case. And last month, their police policy committee spent hours discussing if Adler's actions violated their policies, mainly focusing on the strangulation accusations and whether or not they should revoke his police certification because of it.
Considering the length within this profession Officer Adler has and the specialized training and the great lengths law enforcement goes when it comes to training and loss of consciousness and other forms of training aspects, that to think that it's appropriate and not potentially harmful in a private relationship setting, I don't find that.
There was obviously harm caused to her, whether consensual or not, based on her text message talking about her collarbone hurt and her eye having basically petechial hemorrhaging, that she urinated herself during a strangulation. Mr. Adler even admits that the statement about, whether it was to the point of passing out or not, at one point he says that's too far for him, but at the other point he does admit that he gets to the point where they're rolling their eyes in the back of their head, and that's when he knows to stop.
After more than 3 hours of discussion, the committee unanimously decided to recommend Adler should lose his certification for 10 years. And today, the full board voted to uphold that recommendation. Adler's attorney, Anthony Lee, says this process is not over yet, and he's already filed for a review hearing. And he says this shouldn't have been escalated to this point after the DA declined to press charges.
There's, I think, an administrative rule that we have issue with that we think should have precluded this from going forward in the first place. Sergeant Adler went to arbitration on very similar issues. He won on every single issue at arbitration, and we think that administrative rule prevents DPSST from relitigating those issues here, but clearly that's exactly what's happening.
A spokesperson for DPSST says there's already been at least 3 other cases where the department has revoked an officer's certification even after an arbitrator ordered the department to rehire them. And they say each time the revocation was upheld through the appeals court. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office has confirmed that Adler will remain on administrative leave through the appeals process. Reporting in studio, Spencer Schott, Fox 12.